Welcome back, family. Welcome to the Reiki Healing Hope community, a place to heal, relax, be yourself, and be surrounded by those who want to see you blossom and or bloom. I am Jessica Sup. I'm a Reiki master teacher and intuitive, and today we have a special healing session. It is all about the secret to life, and yes, this is a nice soft-spoken session because I paid attention to y'all. Remember, we did the community poll, and I asked y'all, did y'all want to have a soft-spoken session? And y'all were like, cool. And so I was like, cool, we about to make it happen. So if you're new to the community, welcome, babies. This is your nightly self-care routine, a place where you can relax, heal, be yourself. It could be daily or whatever. This is so weird. And I don't know why it's weird, because I'm constantly talking on TikTok, so I don't know why this is weird for me. But anyway, so what was I saying? Your nightly self-care routine. So if you're new to the communities, you are now one of my babies, so you get one kiss on the forenoggin. And if you're one of my returning babies, you get multiple kisses. Mama loves you. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with this session today. And so we start our session off with a prayer. It is not a religious prayer. It is a prayer to root us in our individual healing experience and bring us together as a collective and as a community. And because consent matters, do I have your permission to say a prayer? Okay, may I place my hands on your hands? Okay, let's do this. You ready? Dear universe, and all for the highest vibrational good only, please connect us to our highest self and validate information for our highest good only. Please allow us to release what we need to let go and embrace what allows us to grow. Let our journey encompass the lineages, traditions, religions, and spiritual paths that brings light out through us to share with others. I say all of this in the name of I am. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. If you'd also like to hear my voice, you can go back to all of the videos in 2019, because I want to say that I don't think I started whispering until 2020. So for anybody who comments like, oh my gosh, I've never heard your voice before, go back to the first video, okay? Because you will be able to hear my voice there. Okay, so back to the secret of life. So with this secret, I really do feel like what's happening there is, as I was reflecting on longevity, I was reflecting on living out our purpose in life. I started to think, I think that the secret of life, or to a happy life, I think that's I think there's many ways to approach whatever for life, but I think the secret to a happy life is reducing stress, is to lowering your stress. And for a long time, I thought that lowering your stress meant eliminating your problems. But I think that the reality is problems are inevitable. And problems can be good problems too, because sometimes it is having a problem and having to get over it that creates solutions that actually may amplify our lives. But I think it is the suffering that shows up when we're interacting with problems that causes the stress. I think of, often medical conditions. I think of our relationships with everybody in our lives. I think about all of these things, our relationships with ourselves, our goals and our journeys, all of those things. And what really pops out to me is that, somebody with many problems, if they have a better ability of handling stress, they seem to progress further on, with finding solutions, with moving on. And people who who don't handle it very well kind of get stuck. And it's almost as if their problems are worse than the actual problem itself. The problem that they have may not be that big, but their reaction makes it worse on their physical body. I also noticed that stress, the relationship with cortisol and things like that, really throws off the balance that we have in our body. And so for people who are trying to heal from medical conditions, trying to have a better relationship with their body, it can be more difficult to have that when you have a constant state of inflammation in your body, and the inflammation being caused from stress. And so if you're having these high level of stress, if you're having this high level of stress, everything else seems worse. So I think another thing to point out here is that when we look at the stress, we have to understand it from a societal point, from a societal perspective. And that societal perspective is, if you go to different cultures around the world at the same time, just the year 2023, we can transport or just call or, phone in to different cultures around the world, very urban, very rural, just different experiences, nomadic, city, whatever. I feel like urban and rural, same thing, right? No matter what that is, people are going to have different rules or different approaches to their everyday life. And it's extremely fascinating that when you live in a society, you believe that those societal rules are, I'm not saying you believe that, but I'm saying it is plausible to think that how you're experiencing society is how everyone across different cultures is experiencing their society. And I do believe within the Western world, and I do believe within the US, that stress is a huge part of the US culture. And I think it comes from our culture of consumerism. We have a culture of consumerism that basically is saying that the purpose is to constantly buy something, constantly feel like you are, that there is a solution that is a material thing. When sometimes the solution is just not giving a fuck. Like, sometimes the solution is not giving a damn, okay? You're like, not that big of a problem. But it is in a way where instead of just feeling like, you know what, I'm going to let it go, not that big of a deal. It's like, don't let it go, and let's, sell you something for that. And I think in that way, I think our stress is commodified. And so there is an incentive to keep people stressed. There's an incentive to keep people sick. There's an incentive to do a lot of things because it props up entire industries. I have this feeling sometimes when I go into the grocery store. I was like, go into the bathroom. I was like, what? I'm like, what am I talking about? No, when I go into the grocery store and I look at all the food that is available, and I think about this, the difference between what I think is global food, or I'll even say European food versus US food. And I look at it and I think to myself, why, when, the US is heavily influenced by European culture for its founding and, blah, 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 blah. Why does the food in the US fuck up people's bodies in a different way than food in Europe? And then I started to think about it. I really looked at, like, what are the population sizes what's the population size of the US versus countries in Europe? And then I start to think about how big the US is. And the US sends food long distances. That's why there's a lot of preservatives. That's why things need to have a shelf life. We can look at eggs, you go to different places in the world and eggs aren't in the refrigerator section. They don't need to. But in the US, eggs are pasteurized. And because they're pasteurized, they lose that natural coating that would protect the egg, against becoming spoiled. But that same coating can contaminate other things around it. And when you're shipping it out, to far places, those preservatives and things like that. And because of that, our body is not used to things like that. On top of that, having a constant state of everything just going, and not having enough or things having to be accomplished so quickly and so fast. I think we lose the perspective that sometimes things take 10 years. And it's almost like if it's not going to be completed in a year, if it's not going to be completed in, a couple of months, you lose the wind and the momentum. And then we also see glimpses into people's lives where, things that may have taken so long, we're just seeing already the end result. So it's almost like, how can you get there quick? Also, a lot of people fake it. A lot of people do not have what they say that they have. They're not where they say that they are. But you can make a whole lot of money and a whole life at pretending to be something that you're not. So I think that with all of that being said, that is a high level of stress. Like we even can see from studies that came out when, social media started to become a thing, how that affected teenagers, specifically young girls, and how that destroyed their body image and how that really made them very critical because they're seeing photoshopped pictures all the time. And that can expand even outside of image to what people expect that they're supposed to accomplish at this time. So I say all of that to say, I know I'm like the secret to a happy life and I'm giving you all this doom and gloom. It's not that at all. I'm just simply saying that shit is not real. It's not real at all. It is just a part of one type of society. And if you go somewhere else, there's going to be positives and negatives. But I like to think about it from this perspective. If you were in the middle of the forest, you were in the middle of some area where you are just off grid and you lived a life by your own standards and you felt relatively safe from the elements and any kind of like predators and stuff like that, how would you look at life? Would you be as stressed? I've heard it often where people are like, they go to the country for a simple life, or they go, to the mountains for a simple life or something like that. And I think with that, it makes me think like, constantly being fed an ideal or this is how life is, or, this is what you need to worry about, creates this heightened sense of stress all the time. And if you eliminate that while still living in the society, in the culture, you can really make anything happen. You can really find happiness. So now we're going to bring on some solutions, okay? How to have a happy life, how to have a long, happy life. First things first, whenever someone tells you you can't do something, disregard it. Maybe you can't do it, but I can. Maybe I haven't figured out the solution yet, or maybe I have to do it in a very creative way. A lot of times people tell you you can't do something because they gave up on their dreams. That's on them. That don't got nothing to do with you. Also, give yourself more time. Give yourself years to accomplish it, because the worst thing you can do is burn yourself out. Burnout is something that is a stealer of dreams or stealer of progress. Also, when you're working on yourself, it is not about every moment of the day feeling like you have to be working towards something. It's not that at all. It's just simply saying, this is the life that I want to live and I'm going to work towards it. I would also say having gratitude. But what I mean by having gratitude, it doesn't mean that you have to be on this high all the time and like, happy go lucky all the time. You're gonna be pissed off sometimes. That's cool. That's fine. You gotta let your feelings be whatever they are. But gratitude is simply saying, you wake up in the morning, it's like, I'm happy to be living this life. However it's playing out, I'm happy. It feels right. And yes, you will have problems. I'm not going to tell you that you are not going to have problems. Problems are inevitable. The happiness comes from you deciding. You get to choose. And a lot of people give their power up because they're looking for something outside of themselves. They're looking for someone to lead them. They're looking for someone to promise them something that is unrealistic. For all of their loyalty and money. And to that, I say anything that you want. If you realize that anything that you want is in reach, if you believe that you could make it happen and you create your own rules that satisfies what you need in life. And also stop trying to live up to the expectations of other people. Stop trying to have your dream align with yourself and your family and your friends and what you think other people want. Who cares? If you have a dream that you feel like makes you happy, you want to be a pillow maker, go and be a pillow maker. Chase these things that make you happy, and you will lose people along the way. There will be people who will not be happy with you. I can attest to that. When I started this community, I had one person who was adamant of me not doing this, didn't have a reason why. And then I realized that once it became better, they got very jealous and they started to just act crazy. And I thought to myself, because they limited themselves in their life and I chose not to limit myself, they are upset because I challenged their understanding of life and ways of being. And, the universe, thank you so much, created an opportunity to release that person from my life. And when I say that things started moving quicker and faster and better, realizing that, wow, who you surround yourself by really, really, really matters. And it really changes things. And I used to think, well, if someone's not evil, see the potential in them. And I don't see that no more. Now I see it like this. Hey, you have the right to go about your life and your journey in any way that you need to, and me too. And I think people it's funny because people are like, they see me and they see the work that I do and they think that they can get over on me, or they think that I'm going to tolerate mess. Y'all who know me know that I don't tolerate mess, but they think they do. So they think they can, act any type of way. Nope, wrong. You're going to get cut. You need to get cut out my life, because the answer is no. I am like everyone else in this community. I am working towards my goals and my dreams as well. So I can't be distracted, and I also don't want to distract anyone. I want to create environments and opportunities where people can get so much out of life. I think that every moment in life is an opportunity to at least inspire ourselves to feel or to grow or to expand or to heal. Sometimes your goals don't even have to be huge. Sometimes the goals can be, let me heal the person that I used to be. Let me love myself in a fuller way. And then you don't need these huge, big things that are expressions of what other people see. Maybe it's just a moment of, wow, I feel like a whole person. I feel like I have what I need. Well, babies, I hope you enjoyed this session. I hope it brought a smile to your face. I like to keep it real, and I like to be very realistic. You're not going to come on here and see me talking about this is how everything's going to be happy at all times. No, I try to look at it from a very intersectional perspective. I try to look at it from I was like multi dimensions, multiple perspectives, pretty much. And I like to make things very practical. I like to talk about esoteric things, mystical things, but I think most things in life are pretty practical. And sometimes we can think that just by, fancying it up and putting it behind a spell or putting it behind some type of esoteric practice, that it will reveal something that's hidden. And I think that most of the answers are available in your life without doing any of that. I think that as I'm growing in this space, I feel like doing things that are esoteric and mystical, I think speak more to connecting into what your particular indigenous practices are. Everyone has them, we all have connections and things like that. So I see it as almost an ancestry thing and a way to explore and connect in deeper ways. But again, your problems are much more simple than maybe society or maybe people around you are letting on. If you believe that you would like an answer to whatever your problem is, you will find that answer. And you have to separate naysayers from you who try to make things more complicated than what it needs to be. And be with yourself in that moment. And that's what I said, the difference between solitude and being isolated. I think isolation leads to like cult mentalities, conspiracy theories, and people getting caught up in misinformation. But I think solitude is the opposite of that. I think solitude is the ability to say, during this time, I know I might be sensitive to other people. So I'm going to put myself over here, get myself in a good energy so that when I re-enter to be around people, I can do it in a way where it feels like, no matter what they say, I'm not going to feel challenged. And even if they feel challenged by me, that doesn't mean I'm going to derail my progress. Well, babies, I hope you enjoyed this. Please let me know if you like this soft-spoken session. If so, I would even be open to doing something like this on Fridays, like a little ASMR podcasty kind of thing. I don't know. 2023 is an open year. It is what it is, okay? And I like to connect with you all in different ways. Ooh, what if it's live? I don't know if I can promise consistent lives, but I can. Y'all go ahead and put stuff in the comments of which I want to see. Well, anyway, babies, if no one has said it, let me go ahead and say it to you. I love you, but make sure you love yourself a little bit more each and every day. And until next time, bye.